This is a story of Zweli's shocking phone call to his wife. Today's story begins with Zweli going to see a one-on-one psychologist by the name of Dan. So uZweli uma afika lapha ku-Dan, Dan says, "How can I help you, Zweli?" Zweli starts relating his story to Dan and says, "I am not the man that I used to be. I can't sleep at night. I can't eat. And every time I look at my wife and my kids, I know I'm not the same anymore. And deep inside, I know it's my fault." Dan looks at Zweli and says, "Continue, I am listening." Zweli kept on talking. An hour passed. Then the psychologist says to Zweli, "I've never had a case like this before. This is one of the difficult cases I have ever came across. But the best thing I could say to you, sit your wife down, speak to her." Zweli says, "No, I'm not going to do that. Rather, I call her here while I'm with you. I don't mind calling her, but I can't face her and tell her all these things." Then Dan says, "If that's going to help, here is a phone, call your wife and speak to her." So Zweli picks up the phone and dials his wife's number, Tina. Then Tina answers the call. Then Zweli says to Tina, "Hey baby, I hope you're okay." Tina says, "Yes, I'm fine, baby. What's happening? Why are you calling me with a different number? Whose number is this?" Then Zweli says, "No, I will explain everything. I need you to just listen to me. For what happened that day, please know that I don't blame you. I actually blame myself, because I know for a fact that our last born is not my baby." Tina is confused. "Zweli, what are you talking about? I've never been with another man except you." Zweli says, "My baby, listen, I'm not blaming you. I blame myself. Let me explain." Okay, let me rewind you back to why Zweli had to come see a psychologist. So this started when their son got sick. Now, Zweli and Tina are a married couple. They've got a firstborn, a girl, and a lastborn, a boy. So the lastborn got sick. He got so sick that Zweli decided, "No, man, you know what? Let's take this child to my grandmother." You understand? So they decided, okay, we're going to do that because Ugogo might actually know what to do. So they packed their bags and they went emakhaya to go see Ugogo. They explained everything to Ugogo on what's going on with the child. Then Ugogo says, "You know what? This thing, I know someone that can help." Yeah? But now, bear in mind, this family Yakazweli, doesn't like Tina, doesn't like the Amakoti. Do you understand? They feel like, no, she's wasting money, she's controlling, she's things like that. You understand? So they really don't like Tina. But because of Zweli, they have to pretend like they like Tina. So Ukoko says, "Okay, let's go." They took the child, they went to this other person to help. When they got there, the guy does the rituals. It's an ancestral ceremony. You understand? So the guy does the rituals, then start mentioning Zweli's surname, only to realize that Zweli's surname and this child's surname is not one surname. Then that guy who was helping them pulls Ugogo aside and says, "Hey, Mama, there's a problem here." Then Ugogo says, "What's going on?" He says, "That baby there doesn't belong to your grandson." Yo, I knew it, that this Makoti, I knew it. Before the man starts explaining a lot of things, Gogo runs back inside and starts swearing at Tina. "You are such a," mentioning her with names, "you are such a, I knew that this baby doesn't belong to my grandson. You are so wicked, Tina. What's wrong with you? How can you do this? And Zweli has been spending too much money on this child. And it's Zweli's favorite because it's a boy child. But now this boy doesn't belong to Zweli. Yo, Zweli is standing there. Gogo, yin. What's going on? Gogo says, hey, come, explain to them what is going on. That helper stood there and started explaining what was going on. He tells Zweli that this child doesn't share the same blood with you. Yo. Tina is shocked. What? That is a lie. I've never been with another man except Uzweli. He's the only man I've ever been with in my life. Hey, you are such a liar, Wena. Don't lie to us here. Don't lie, you are lying. How can it be? Uzweli is standing there and he's not doing anything. He's just traumatized, looking at Ugogo, looking at Tina, and looking at his son. But he's not saying anything. He's just traumatized by all this that is happening. But the way Uzweli looks seems as if there is something that you know that others don't. Yeah, understand? So Ugogo now is shouting at Zweli. Zweli, how can you just stand there and not talk to your wife? Who is not even your wife? Whose child is this? Why don't you just... We're going to chase you away. We want our lobola back. Zweli says, Gogo. Please, just hold your peace. Please, let me talk to my wife. You understand? Then Uzweli says, Tina, take our baby, let's go. They took the baby, they left. When they got home, remember they are still Emakhaya. When they got home, immediately they packed their bags. Zweli personally went to go take their bags, put them in the car, takes their babies, put them in the car and say, Tina, let's go back home. They went in the car, then they are driving back to where they live. Tina is there looking at Zweli, wondering, why isn't he so reactive to what just happened? They are saying this is not his baby. But he's too calm and he's too understanding. He's not even asking me for a DNA. But obviously, he trusts me because he knows that I will not do something like this. So when they get home, Tina is really bothered by Zweli's reactions to all of this. Then it boils her inside and says, Zweli, Yini, why are you not even saying a word? What, do you think that I did this? Do you think that this is not your baby? Should I do a DNA test? Zweli says, Tina, come on. Can we deal with this another day? I'm tired. I'm tired, okay? Tina says, okay, fine. But the mood that day wasn't very pleasant for both of them. You understand? Tina doesn't understand why is Zweli like this. And Zweli, seemingly there is something that is eating him up. You understand? That night, both of them don't sleep. Uzweli is turning and turning in his bed. Tina is there now facing that side. She can hear that this guy is not sleeping. But she is also not sleeping the whole night. 1 week passes. Zweli is still avoiding this topic and Tina keeps pushing and pushing. Now, every single day, Zweli's family calls instructing Zweli to get rid of that woman, to divorce that woman, because she's not a good wife. But Zweli keeps telling his family to back off. Now, they don't understand why Zweli is telling them to back off, to leave them alone, whilst it is in front of their face that that's not his child. Most probably Zweli is bewitched. This woman has done something to our son. So they think to themselves. 2 weeks pass. Uzweli is good with his messages. Whenever Tina is at work and he's at work, he'll be sending, baby, I love you, baby, you are the only one that you understand. But when they are home, Zweli can't seem to be able to show the same affectionate to Tina. What is going on? Until Zweli says, you know what? I will not be able to continue like this. This is something he's saying to himself. Then he decides to go see a psychologist. Okay, so now we're back by the psychologist's office, and so he's talking to Tina. So Tina says, Zweli, what do you mean you know for a fact that this is not your baby? As a matter of fact, you've been avoiding this topic for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And you're choosing to call me now with a number I don't even know. What is going on, Zweli? Then Zweli says, baby, please just calm down. I just need to explain. But for me to tell you exactly what's going on, I will have to tell you everything. Tina is wondering, what is this guy talking about? Zweli, can't we meet up, then we talk face to face about this? Zweli says, no. Let's have this conversation over the phone. What is going on? Then Zweli continues and says, please, I need you to listen to everything that I'm going to say. I know you're going to be angry. I know you're going to hate me. But I need you to listen because I need to let this off my chest. Yo. Inganewan. So Themba starts explaining and says, do you remember Gwenadi? Tina says, yeah, I remember Gwenadi, that lady that used to live next door when we used to live in Soweto. I remember her. Zweli, what does Gwenadi have to do with this baby not being yours? Like, what are you talking about? Then Zweli says, please, Tina, listen to what I'm saying. Tina is really getting impatient and doesn't know how to react to all of this. Like, what does Gwenadi have to do with this baby not belonging to Zweli? Kungena piloko. Zweli continues and says, do you remember her? Tina says, yes, I remember that lady who used to live alone when we still lived in Soweto. So what does this have to do with everything? Then Themba says, no, she never used to live alone. She was married to a soldier. So that guy would go for 3 months away, then 3 months back, 3 months away. But you were busy at work, so you wouldn't really see the guy. But he was there. You understand? Zweli, please stop telling me a lot of stories, days of our lives. Just tell me what's going on. Zweli says, please just listen. But now Tina is frustrated because all this is very strange to her. Then Zweli continues and says, I had an affair with Gwenadi. Zweli, do not mess around with me right now. What is this that you're telling me? And what does this baby have to do with all of this that you're telling me? Tina, please listen to me. I need to get this off my chest. So Zweli continues, I had an affair with Gwenadi. So our thing kept going for months under your nose. For the record, I am really sorry about that. I shouldn't have done that. It was very selfish of me. I am really, really sorry. Themba, can we please talk about our son and stop telling me these nonsensical stories? I knew you were cheating somehow. Then Themba says, okay. Do you remember that time when you had to go home with the kids for a weekend and I was left here by myself? It so happened that Gwenadi had a delivery of a fridge and she kindly asked me to help her take the fridge inside. Zweli. So ngibalisele itori. You and your lover, anginandaba nokuthi nakuki fridge or nakuki ndlovu. I don't care whether you were carrying an elephant or a fridge. Just tell me about my baby. Then Themba he continues his story and says, so I helped her with the fridge. Then I had to plug it inside. I had to make sure that it was okay. So one thing led to another. We ended up doing something that I regret. But now While we were on the act, her husband walked in and found us. That guy beat me so hard, I thought I was taking my last breath. Zweli, are you not the one that told the police that you were getting robbed? Zweli says, yes, I was being honest because he actually did take my phone and take some of my money. As a matter of fact, I kept giving that guy money every week, trying to apologize. And I thought it was over because he went away. When he came back the next time, he came straight to me and told me that he suspects that I went back to his house. And I promised him and I guaranteed him that I've never been there ever since that day. Then he showed me a picture of our little girl and said to me, I don't trust you, but now a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. So it's your choice. He showed me a picture of our daughter and showed me a picture of you and said, I need you to choose who's who. What? What sick man does something like this? Tina, I am really sorry. I didn't know that this guy is a psycho. Had it been I'd known, I wouldn't have went into that house. Zweli, are you telling me that if this guy was Father Christmas, you would have went in there and slept with his wife? No. It's not what I'm saying. Please, it's not what I'm saying. So Zweli, how does all this contribute to our last born not being your son? Now Tina is really feeling weird about this whole thing. Then Zweli says, do you remember that we had to move very fast and go to another city? Zweli, I was wondering what came over you to just wake up in the morning and say, we have to go, pack up, let's go. So you were running away from another man. Tina, that's what I was trying to do. And it worked. For the first 3 months, I had escaped the jaws of that lion. But he found us again. And this time he was very angry. I didn't know what to do. I realized that I may not be able to escape this. If I try to go to the police and tell them, what proof do I have that he's doing these things? Zweli, what are you saying? Zweli continues. So I made a very, very, very bad choice. Do you remember that night when you and I got so drunk? I drugged you, Tina. And that man came into our bedroom. The next morning, you were up so early. You made breakfast. You told me you loved me. And you told me you had a great time last night. It wasn't me, Tina. What? It wasn't me. It was another man. And I thought my nightmares were over. You got pregnant. Deep inside, I had my doubts. But what could I have done? I wouldn't have advised you to get rid of the baby. So I just prayed and said, I hope it's mine. But now I realize that baby is not mine. But I guarantee you, I love him as much as if he were my own. Zweli, you are a sick man. By the time you get home, I'll be long gone. Tina then drops the call. Zweli rushed out of that man's office straight to his car, drove so fast, heading to his house, only to get there and find out that he was already too late. Tina didn't even pack bags. She just left with the kids and vanished into thin air. Zweli kept trying to call Tina, but her phone was not going through anymore. Zweli looked for them everywhere, but he could not find them. After a while, he received a very long text from an unknown number. Dear Zweli, I appreciate the honesty that you came to me with. But so you know, our firstborn daughter is not yours, and our lastborn is not yours, as you already know. But what you didn't know, or what you don't know, is that they both belong to the same Father. I have left with the love of my life. Don't ever try to find us. And when he tried to call that number, it was off. Zweli had to learn the hard way. We are not sure whether that woman was telling the truth. We are not sure whether that woman was lying. But it's what she presented to Zweli. And Zweli lived his life in regret because of a weak moment with someone else's wife.